Hey everybody, it's Pax. We're going to be carrying on with the campaign Playalong with Tommy and Daisy. We just finished up Dealings in the Dark and got a pretty sweet resolution off of it, and I'm feeling pretty good. So what I'd like to do is go help out Inspector Flint before it takes too long. So we're going to travel through Kabul, through Kathmandu, and to Shanghai for a total of 1, 2, 3 movement. And that'll do 1, 2, 3, and we'll be checking off A there. As we know, Status Report Alpha is adding a cultist token to the Chaos bag. And so we're at 32J here, the Coiled Serpent, where Flint is taking a look at the Coterie, following up on the Lady in the Parasol, I believe. And last time, we told the truth to Taylor. So this time, we hid the truth from Taylor, so I'm actually going to go ahead and read this, because it's the first time I've been reading it. It will take some time to learn more about her and find the right opportunity to apprehend her, Flint says quietly. I saw how you acted with Taylor. I trust you to be discreet, so I'll contact you when I have a good lead. Or I suppose you could stay and aid my investigation here. And so we have to decide to either keep inquiring and let us know when he has something, we'll stick around and help, and forget her, we need your help. But I'm actually going to stick around and help with Coiled Serpent number 5 here. Over the course of several weeks, you managed to strike up a relationship with some of your quarry's business associates, titans of industry in the fields of mining and railroad construction. You bide your time, earning a bit of their confidence, and it isn't long before they mention the lady with the red parasol, whom they call, and I'm sorry for butchering this, Zhu San Yang. Her silver tongue and negotiating skills are apparently the thing of legend. One remarks, with a dreadful laugh, of her ability to convince worker unions to tolerate abysmal conditions and local governments to accept the extraction of natural resources without batting an eye. Under the guise of needing her help for a project, you inquire about how to contact her. Your contacts inform you that she's just landed a deal in Hong Kong and is already on her way there. In your campaign log, record the cell aided in Flint's investigation. Each investigator earns 1 experience as they gain insight into the inner workings of the Red Coterie. Hong Kong is now eligible for traveling, and I mark 3 time in my campaign log. And so we get to check off another 3 time, and we read time slot epsilon there. And now for the remainder of the campaign, whenever I'm setting up a scenario, any of the enemies who I haven't seen the last of get chosen at random, and one of them gets shuffled into the encounter deck, which is a little painful given the path we're taking, I think. It can be pretty random who ends up in any given encounter deck, but obviously that's the life in searching out these guys to indiscriminately kill them. And so we're just going to carry on straight down to Hong Kong and see if we can find out what's going on. The cell aided in Flint's investigation, so we read Blood, Sweat, and Tea, number 1. On the train into Hong Kong, Agent Flint shares his current lead with you. Su San Yang is due to meet with her new business partners this afternoon at a local tea house. From what I gathered, they're a real rogues gallery of scumbags, the type that makes their fortunes by exploiting their workers to death. She's so drawn to these types it gives me a theory. She's not just taking these jobs because they pay well. Time and again she goes for these deals where she can help the British at the expense of the common folk. It's like she's attracted to the suffering she causes. Maybe worse. Before you can discuss this theory in more depth, your train arrives at its stop. You and Flint hurry onto the local platform and rush to the tea house, but you arrive too late. A telltale red parasol is sifting through the street crowd, heading swiftly away. You follow the parasol with your eyes as its bearer steps into a nearby alleyway. Flint whispers to you to stay, but you can't while your quarry is so close. The moment you enter the alleyway, Suzan Yang turns and looks at you in the eye. I am used to attention, she croons, but I heard you were a little too interested in seeing me. She wraps the tip of her parasol onto the street, and a burst of silvery energy rushes through the ground, jumping into your body. Your skin goes suddenly numb and you collapse to the ground. The painful pinprick sensation of a sleeping limb takes over your entire body. Suzanne Yang smiles, puts her parasol over her shoulder, and walks away. She gets a few yards away, and apparently believing she's out of earshot, she tells her entourage, "We are done here. The Foundation is onto us. Eliminate them and move on to the Selangor Club harvest." You hear feet shuffling in your direction, but before any reckoning comes, Flint picks you up and drags you back out to the street, where the crowd and broad daylight might keep you from overt harm, for now. As the sensation in your limbs return, Flint muses aloud. The Royal Selangor Club. That's a social club in Kuala Lumpur. Come on, we have no time to lose. He helps you to your feet, but you're still recovering from the blast of energy that sent your body and mind reeling. The parasol isn't just a coterie insignia, after all. It is a key. In your campaign log, record Flint traveled to Kuala Lumpur, and in the Southeast Asia section of the campaign log, find Kuala Lumpur. In its spot, write 46Q, and you're now allowed to travel there, and you may embark. Oh, nice, it doesn't take up any extra time. That's good. So the one time that was required for us to get there means that we're going to be at time 14, right before the beta mark. So we're going to go ahead and head down to Kuala Lumpur. putting us at 14 time. And finally, here we are at file 46Q, Shades of Suffering. Flint traveled to Kuala Lumpur, so we proceed to intro 1. You and Flint meet at the Royal Selangor Club, a sharp-angled complex situated on the edge of a meticulously groomed lawn. A cricket match unfolds for the club members on the turf below you, and Flint discusses the Coterie's interests and Suzan Yang's possible aims. Hold on a moment. Flint stops mid-sip and stares into the throng of wealthy expatriates. You turn your head and watch the crowd. A woman with a pale complexion and jet-black hair turns away from you, twirling a bright red parasol. Well, that was easy, laughs Flint. You can hear a steely edge in his voice as he stands gingerly and leaves a generous tip for the staff. Let's see what she's up to, shall we? In your campaign log, record Flint rejoined the cell. Any one investigator may choose to add the Inspector Flint story asset to their deck. It does not count towards their deck size. This card can be found in the Globe Club. Let's go get him. Okay, so there's Inspector Flint. He's got this 2-cost, single wild icon, 3/3 soak. When you expose a decoy, exhaust Inspector Flint, cancel the exposing of that decoy, flip it face down, and either draw a card or choose a different concealed minicard at that location to expose. Wow, that is insanely good for Tommy, right? Look at this. 2-cost, 3/3, and also we get to do decoy. Holy shit. Yeah, that's going into Tommy's deck, 100%. And then we proceed into setup. But before we do setup, I do want to see where I've spent my experience points. So we had 6 experience from the last scenario, and then I have an additional 1 from moving around. So I ended up upgrading Armor of Thorns on the Hunter's Armor, and also picking up 1 level for the Inscription of the Hunt. I'm not playing with that most recent taboo list yet, so I'm just taking the 1 XP for that. And then 3 more XP is going into replacing my Rabbit's Foot with a Martyr's Embrace. I'm hoping that this will be a good way to, stay alive really effectively. I don't think I'm really having any trouble killing anyone, but just having more cards that allow him to use his whole shtick seems really good to me. And the Rabbit's Foot kind of wasn't really coming up, so that should be interesting. So for Daisy, I ended up replacing 1 Old Book of Lore with an Old Book of Lore level 3, and I believe that was discounted 1 by the Raven's Quill. I'm replacing 1 Unexpected Courage... Courage? Why the fuck? 1 Unexpected Courage with an Astral Mirror. I think that between the Raven's Quill and the Astral Mirror, I'll just never be wanting for hand slots, which is what I was trying to get out of that. So that's kind of 4 experience, because 1 of it was discounted. And then the other 2, and I'm leaving 1 left over, was picking up Research Grant on my Empirical Hypothesis. And the reason I'm doing that is because I feel like we've been super flush with cards, and not necessarily the money to play them for Tommy, but we've had a stupid amount of money on Daisy. And so between the Old Book of Lore and the Empirical Hypothesis, it should completely solve any economy problems that we're having between the 2 decks, and really just allow us to focus on winning the scenario by dealing with the scenario. So that will be the upgrades for both of them. I will shuffle these decks. I will get everything ready in the setup. I suppose the opening hands technically happen first, so we'll just go ahead and do that. Certainly don't want to refine first thing. Let's turn that off. I only need 1 of these 2, and I feel like I don't need that. I feel like Gret is really nice for helping out with combat, but also it makes it a little bit trickier to afford everything. So we're going to go ahead and put those away, and then we'll draw 3 cards. A machete, and a runic axe. Okay, yeah, that's perfect. And then for Daisy, we get 5 cards. We get a Guts, we get a Research Librarian, an Empirical Hypothesis, a Deduction, and a Burning the Midnight Oil. We definitely just replaced the Guts. And honestly, we probably just keep the rest of this, because searching for that old book, level 3, is going to be nuts. And this is a really good opening hand otherwise. Oh, and a Grim Memoir right off the bat. That's a nice opening hand. We'll take that for sure. So I am actually going to read the setup for a change, because this is the first time I've played the scenario. Usually I just leave it up to TTS and kind of do everything off camera, but kind of for my own benefit, I'm going to be taking a look here. So you gather all the cards from those sets. You put the 4 locations into play, and you set a 3... Is it 3 locations? Yeah, 3 locations aside. If Flint rejoined the cell, each investigator begins play at the Selangor Club, and if an investigator added Inspector Flint to their deck, they may search their deck for Inspector Flint and put him into play under their control. And he doesn't take up an ally slot! Holy shit! Jesus Christ, wow. Friendship ended with Randolph Carter. My new best friend is Inspector Flint. Jesus Christ. That is really good to have in play for free. That is nuts. So presumably there's going to be some exposing going on in this scenario as a result of getting him in play at the start. And we're starting in play up here at the Selangor Club. The Selangor Club attracts all the city's wealthiest clientele, but especially caters to the British imperialists that run much of the export business. It's a two-shroud, two-clue location. Each investigator at the Selangor Club does not collect resources during the upkeep phase. I promise you I will fuck that up. Spend 2 resources, parlay, you enjoy a pleasant meal and drinks. Heal 1 damage and 1 horror from an investigator or ally asset at your location. Limit once per round. Choose one of each Geist enemy, Uncanny Shadow, Buried Miner, and Slain Foreman at random and set them aside out of play. Remove the other's copies of those Geist enemies from the game. These cards are double-sided and have story cards on their reverse side. For the best experience, do not look at the story cards on their other side until you're instructed to do so. So here's the enemies. I guess I just do this and then remove one of each of them from the game, right? And then these ones are all just kind of set aside here. That's perfectly fine. I will delete this pile so as to mark it as the ones removed from the game. We spawn Susan Yang face up in the shadows and attach the Shade Reaper to her, unstable side face up. Resolve her concealed keyword, placing her concealed minicard at each location other than the starting location. Okay, cool. And then finally, if 12 to 18 time has passed, we place 3 resources on the Shade Reaper as charges. Ooh, that sounds scary. So we'll take a look at her first. She is a 2/4/2 humanoid coterie elite with concealed 2. And when she would be defeated, instead heal all damage from her, remove all doom from play. Wow. Return her to the shadows and resolve her concealed keyword, distributing each of those concealed minicards as evenly as possible among each location with a non-weakness Geist enemy. Interesting. Okay. And then finally, the Shade Reaper here comes into play with a couple of charges on it. That is not a charge. That is a charge. And it says each investigator loses 1 action, or if it is not their turn, loses an action during the next turn. Then if an investigator shifted this key, flip it to its stable side. Finally, we've got her and her decoys. We'll group them up, flip it over, shuffle them up, and drop 1 at each location. That is not the starting location. Okay, so let's take a look at the agenda and the act. The city buzzes with spiritual activity. Empty halls resound with footsteps. Phantom knocks, voiceless whispers. Some deep pain in the city longs to be known. A wordless dread fills the silence and pervades every moment. 3 doom. Ay, ay, ay. The lady with the red parasol. The figure holding a red parasol melts into the bustle of the city, but is she aware of your presence? If you can track her to her destination, you may better understand her aims in Kuala Lumpur. Find Susan Yang before the agenda advances. When you engage Susan Yang, investigators must spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance. If they cannot, return her to the shadows and resolve her concealed keyword. Ooh, gross. Alright, so the last thing that I wanted to take a look at is the scenario card here. Skulls are -X, half the number of charges on the Shade Reaper rounded up. It cannot be greater than 6. The cultist token that we have 1 of is a -4. If you fail by 2 or more, place 1 charge on the Shade Reaper. That's gross. And I currently have 2 Elder Things. -4, you may place 1 charge on the Shade Reaper to treat this token modifier as 0 instead. Also pretty gross. It's a really good thing that both of our investigators are testing pretty high consistently, but both the cultist token and the Elder Thing token could be a really big problem during the Mythos phase, depending on what we start revealing. So overall, this is the bag we're looking at right now, and this is a pretty big jump from -2 to -4. But it's really nice that -2 is like a reasonable amount of the bag, and then if you get a double icon in there, suddenly you're covering everything. This is not as bad as I was expecting, but maybe worse than I had hoped. I also forgot that I didn't have a tablet, which would have been like, whatever it is, a -1 and then redraw. Only if you're at a location with a Geist enemy. But nevertheless, the bag's not too bad. We'll hop straight into it. It's going to be a parlay motivational speech to get this beat cop into play for 1 resource, bringing us up to 5. We're going to then drop our Runic Axe into play. The Runic Axe is going to be pretty supercharged with the Inscription of Glory and the Inscription of the Hunt on it. But I do not want to end my turn here exactly, because I certainly don't want to not collect resources during the upkeep phase with Tommy. He kind of needs resources. Even though he gets paid back for stuff, he does still need resources to get things into play ahead of time. So we're going to be moving out of here with him. And I think that's going to just be down to the Kuala Lumpur Station West Wing. It is a haunted location. The western wing of the station is veiled in a heavy fog. Glimmering shapes flit to and fro in the haze. 4 shroud, 2 clues. Resign, there's nothing more we can do here. You hastily book passage out of the city. As a single action, investigators at this location spend 2 clues as a group and heal 2 horror. Remember that you found a cheap memento and victory won. Okay, so if things really go to shit, I can always get the 2 clues here. Oh no, but if you resign, then you can't get the victory. Aha, very clever. Very, very clever. Nice, lovely, good stuff. Okay, but Daisy is going to go ahead. It's a little tricky because I want to use the Grim Memoir and the Burning the Midnight Oil. And, like, there's a lot of stuff I want to do this turn. I feel like it's play, investigate. But I don't have to do 2 investigations, and I would like to move out of the location again. So maybe what I'll do instead is I will play the Grim Memoir. I will use the Grim Memoir with a deduction committed to get both of the clues off of this location. And that'll put us at like 8 against 2. And it's kind of unnecessary, but also it gets me out of here. So a -3, so that does get both of the clues. And it also gets us a card draw. And there's the Raven Quill. That's nice. Oh, nice. So we can get that old book out and get this attached to it so we can guarantee that extra XP. That's kind of nice. So that's 2 actions. We're going to move down to be with Tommy. And then we're just going to go ahead and play this empirical hypothesis. Because the sooner we get this into play with tons of evidence, it doesn't work on the turn you play it. Like, I would have played it first if it did, but that'll be really handy. So we've got the clues we need. We just need to find her before the doom ticks over. And I think that's possible. It would be really nice if this were her, obviously. For very obvious reasons, but Tommy can turn failing to find her here into a card draw using Flint. So that's a pretty good idea for next turn. So we'll go ahead and get a card draw and an upkeep on Tommy for another Beat Cop. It's nice to have your replacement allies early. Did I forget to shuffle my stuff in? Yeah, I did. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Basically didn't happen. A live and learn. Okay. A live and learn's a little bit worse than a replacement Beat Cop, but it's better than forgetting to do that yet again on camera. And then an upkeep for Daisy gets us a perception. And this is pretty nice. Like, look, I got some money. I got a whole ton of card draw. We can certainly peel the clues off of this 4-shroud location. Probably get some evidence on hypothesis. Really good stuff going on here. So we get 1 Doom on the agenda. Let's double check that we shuffled that encounter deck. Hop to it. What do we get? Touch of the Beyond. Place 1 Doom on the asset you control with the highest printed resource cost. If no Doom is placed by this effect, Touch of the Beyond gains Surge. Yep. Huge bummer, but I'm fairly certain I can ping Beat Cop to reveal a card and not have to deal with this Doom. And I think that's what's going to be happening. I really don't want to lose my Runic Axe. I feel like the Runic Axe is just more important than the Beat Cop. So that's what we'll have to do. And then for Daisy, what do we get? We get the Coterie Envoy. Aloof and patrol the nearest location with a concealed minicard and no Coterie Envoy. When he's ready, concealed minicards at its location cannot be exposed. After you defeat the Coterie Envoy, look at the revealed side of any concealed minicard in play. Interesting. So he's going to be here at the Kuala Lumpur station with us, but it's really nice that Tommy just picked up the Inscription of the Hunt, because what I can actually do here now is I can deal that damage to the Coterie Envoy, and then probably also kill him in 1 hit, and then reveal, and then take a look at one of these 2 to see if she's not with us. So that's pretty cool. So we are going to go ahead with Tommy first. We're going to double check what we took here. For each charge spent, you may imbue the axe with up to 2 different inscriptions. So I'm currently swinging for 4, 5, 6. I will engage him and also deal +1 damage. So that's 6 against 2, and we'll just do that action first. There's the -4 that we can treat as a 0, but we don't have to. So that does 2 damage to him. And like I said, I am just straight up going to kill my Beat Cop off to remove this Doom and finish him. And then after we defeat him, we can look at the revealed side of any concealed minicard in play. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not like revealing the concealed minicard, it's just looking, right? Yeah, it's not exposing it. It's just looking. But we will go ahead and do that. We'll take a look at the Selangor Club Padang one. That is... Okay, there she is. So that's good to know that she's there. What I might do then is I might have Daisy focus on getting the clues here, and then just we'll head down there and try and deal with her next turn. As for the rest of Tommy's turn, I think we're going to do that move down to her, but also draw a card. Oh, okay. No access were discarded, so we shuffle this back into the deck. That's a bit poopy, but that's okay. But yeah, we're moving down to the Selangor Club Padang, and it is a... Well, this isn't revealed, but it's a 3-shroud, 4-clue location with a parlay test combat 4 to join the games. If you fail, remember that you embarrassed the consulate. If you succeed, gain 3 resources. The tight-lipped expatriates become much more trusting once you help their team achieve victory. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, I didn't read the other side. The large padang or square is a well-manicured lawn used for all sorts of sporting events from cricket to rugby. Spectators watch the games from either side of the square or from inside the clubhouse. And this is not a haunted location for what that's worth. Okay, so Daisy is going to investigate this location with the Grim Memoir using one of these actions. I don't need to exhaust that. What am I doing? And I'm also just going to put the perception into it to be up at like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 against 4, just to get really up as high as I can. Try to get that card draw and the evidence over here. A +1, so we like super get it. When the chosen criteria is met, so when you succeed at a test by 3 or more. So that is before technically the if you succeed and if you succeeds. So that gets an evidence, and then we draw 2 cards. Haunted lowers our stuff by 1, but that's okay. And another perception. We'll get 1 clue off the location. And now I dare say this haunted is kind of annoying. I'm tempted to just clear this now. I think that I want to just clear that now. Because if I don't, like, I've got the time. I have the time to clear it now. And that -1 is going to add up over the course of the scenario. So let's just not deal with that. But we're going to head down with Tommy. And we're going to make absolutely certain that we can reveal her next turn. So we get an upkeep for Tommy, a beat cop. Okay, there is the real second beat cop. That's nice. And then an upkeep for Daisy gets us the old book level 3. That's really good, because if I can start using that on Tommy now, he's just going to explode. Like, he's going to go nuts. And I think there's an argument that the research librarian finding this would have been better uses of my actions on Daisy once I got 2 clues to make sure we could advance. But all the same, getting this into play is going to be really good. So we've got 2 Doom out of 3, and then an encounter card for Tommy gets us a Dissonant Voices. Cannot play events or assets. That's not a big deal yet. That could be a big deal once we see more of what's going on this turn, but for now, I don't really have that much money anyways. And then an encounter card for Daisy gets her Excruciate. Place 1 charge on the Shade Reaper. Test 3, 6 instead if there are 8 or more charges, so there aren't. If you fail, you must either discard a card from your hand for each point you fail by, or take 2 damage. Ooh. Ouch. Okay, so let's go put that charge on. So this is up to 4 now. The skull is still a -2. And unfortunately, the only icon we have for this is Old Book of Lore, or from Tommy's Live and Learn. So I think we're just going to brave this test. As much as I don't want to, I could spend an evidence to try and draw a card to get out of it. Maybe I'll do that. I'm gonna draw 1 card. Okay. Dr. Milan, not a huge help. Can I shift my key now? The rules say any free triggered ability window, which there are before you decide to commit. So I think I'm going to shift this to look at the top 3 cards of my deck and draw one of them. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we'll take that Unexpected Courage and shuffle the rest of these in. It's a shame I didn't do that before, so that I had the Ward of Protection, but I will commit this to get 2 up. And again, looking at that bag composition, 2 up is kind of good enough. So 5 against 3, -1, we pass it. Whew, okay. Not too bad. I would have hated to discard that many cards. I guess the one thing about the Dissonant Voices is that since I can't play assets, I also can't get Old Book of Lord and then play the asset for -2 cost, because it's Tommy playing that asset. It's not Daisy playing it at a reduced cost. But all the same, I think we're going to go ahead with Daisy first. We're going to burn the Midnight Oil for 2 resources and use a perception on it. So we'll be at like 7 against 3, which is kind of unnecessary, but also I really want to get Milan into play. That's the -4. So we do succeed, but we don't get any over success metrics. We get the guts. That's nice. And then I'll go ahead and that will be getting me a clue from the location as well. I'm going to go ahead and play Milan. That brings us up to 6 stats. And then we're going to Grim Memoir for 8 against 3. And this one is going to be doing an expose for Su San Yang. So 8 against 3, -1. So that does get us this. That does draw us a card from the memoir and gain us a resource from successfully investigating. Oh, holy shit, it's her. Oh shit, she engaged Tommy. Once we've engaged her, we must spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and if we cannot, she goes back. But fortunately, we do have 4 of the 2 we need. So, let's advance. After what feels like hours of searching, you catch the trail of the lady with the red parasol. You follow her down a narrow side street to the worn facade of an old shop, which she steps inside. Uncertain of the risk she might pose, you wait for her to emerge rather than follow her into a potential trap. However, after some time passes, you grow impatient and step into the shop. Put the set-aside Melati shop location into play and reveal it. Disengage each investigator from each enemy engaged with them, and move each investigator to Melati's shop, and then read the scenario interlude. So first things first, we do move here. The Bomo shop is primarily an apothecary, with shelf after shelf filled with dried bundles of herbs and flowers, some ground up in little jars or in alcohol tinctures. Other supplies for the Bomo's practice rest on a bookshelf behind the counter. Lime, resin, and a dagger in a wooden sheath. It is a 2-shroud location, with no clues. Investigators at Melati's shop spend 1 clues as a group. Remember that you peered beyond. Look at the revealed side of a concealed mini-card or the other side of a Geist enemy in play. When I quiet my mind, I can hear them clearly. Before you even step inside the shop, you are greeted by the intense but pleasant fragrance of dried flowers and herbs that hang in bundles from the low ceiling. The scent is intoxicating. As your eyes adjust to the dimly lit interior, a small, middle-aged Malay woman in an ornate dress rises from her stool in the corner to greet you. You're a bit late, but I suppose it's better than if you had arrived early, she says matter-of-factly. You ask her what she means, and she shakes her head. I'm Melati. Our meeting was foretold. She explains that she is a Bomo, or shaman, and that she was forewarned of your meeting by the spirits. You ask her about the woman with the red parasol. Yes, that's why I was glad you didn't arrive early. She grimaces, then lights a bundle of some aromatic herbs. You feel a tingling lightheadedness wash over you, followed by soothing calm. Melati goes on. That was Su San Yang. She's the reason I have to cleanse my shop. There is a foul essence that follows her. Perhaps why she masks her unclean spirit with a veneer of politeness. As Melati speaks, a cloud of vague confusion passes over her, as if she cannot place something. You ask her what Miss Zhu wanted. I truly can't even remember what she asked of me. The Bomo recites a low, mumbling chant as she completes the cleansing ritual, then holds one hand to her temple. Her brow furrows as she falls to her knees, racked with pain. You move to help her up, and she holds one hand out, steadying herself against a low wooden table, and then slides to sit. She gestures for you to sit across from her. Now I understand why they told me you were coming, she smiles bravely. The deep lines in her face fold with shadows in the dim shop. The Bomo pours you a cup of hot, steaming tea. The spirits are restless. Something has stirred up a deep well of pain as the city reforms itself to keep up with such change. People coming and going, and in all of it I sense a dark aura, a cloud of misfortune, and at the center of it, the lady with the red parasol. She is a harbinger of sorts, inflicting pain and misery even as she reaps the rewards of great industry. The Bomo's voice is firm and clear, even as her hands shake, holding her teacup. You sip the rich, earthy brew as you consider the situation. Su San Yang has some greater design at work. But what? You ask Melati if the spirits have told her anything else. She shakes her head. I sense only their great pain, and that their great pain is linked in some way to the lady with the red parasol. It is almost as though she feeds on it, devours it. Melati doubles over again, clutching one hand to her chest. You move to help her as Inspector Flint produces a small medkit to administer emergency aid. The Bomo shakes her head. Do not worry for me. I am stronger than any spirit, though I feel they are in such deep, awful pain. The city is rife with sorrow. She sighs and rights herself. As I said before, our meeting was not by any chance. Perhaps if we can speak with the spirits and put them to rest, we can understand Miss Zhu's greater aims and perhaps thwart them. Can you help me? Flint looks to you and to the Bomo and smiles. We'll help you get to the bottom of this. Before you leave Melodi's shop, she tells you of 3 epicenters of spiritual disturbance in the city. Put the Tin Mine and Wayang Kulit Theater locations into play. Find the 3 set-aside Geist enemies and spawn them as follows. Spawn the Slain Foreman at Kuala Lumpur Station Wing West. Spawn the Uncanny Shadow at Wayang Kulit Theater. And spawn the Buried Miner at the Tin Mine. We return Suzang Yang, the lady with the red parasol, to the shadows and resolve her concealed keyword, distributing each of those concealed mini-cards among each location with a Geist enemy, and then we remove all doom from each card in play other than Suzang Yang. If it is Agenda 1A, advance directly to Agenda 2A. Do not resolve Agenda 1B. Okay, so we've resolved all of that. We've got the Buried Miner here. He's got a parlay action with a very high difficulty combat test where you can take horror and you can reduce the difficulty of the test by 1 for each horror you took. And if you succeed, you flip him and resolve the text on the other side. And then when he would be defeated, you flip it over and resolve the text on the other side. So you can either kill it or you can do this parlay action. Fine. And he's got 6 health, so he's pretty chunky. And that's at the Tin Mine location, which is a haunted location, unsurprisingly. All the haunted locations are where these guys popped up. Then we've got the Wayang Kulit Theater, another haunted location with the Uncanny Shadow, also 6 health. The same type of parlay test with willpower instead, and it's discarding cards at hand from random. But again, it's optionally letting you flip it over instead of needing to defeat it. And then finally, the Slain Foreman. He's a 7 health, so he's pretty tough. And it's an intellect test this time. 6, discard an asset you control. Reduce the difficulty of this test by the printed cost of the asset. Okay, sure, or defeat him. So that's going on. Suzang Yang was put back into the shadows and then concealed across these 3 locations. So it's nice that we had those 2 extra clues to be able to reveal this, because we could look at the opposite side of a concealed mini card or the other side of one of these enemies to kind of get ourselves an idea of what we're getting into. And then finally, we did advance to Agenda 2A as a result of doing this. The Restless Dead, or not the Restless Dead, but just Restless Dead. The sense that you are not alone grows, and the spirit's wordless screams fill your mind. An oily fog rolls in to choke the streets of Kuala Lumpur in a ghostly aura. If there's only 1 investigator in the game, this agenda gets +1 doom threshold. Oh, that's interesting. When you engage Suzang Yang, investigators at your location must spend 1 per investigator's clues as a group, 2 clues if they cannot draw the top card of the encounter deck instead. Hint, when this agenda advances, Suzang Yang will harvest a nearby spirit if her location is unknown. Interesting. Well, I feel like I understand now why people advised me to not play this one early in the campaign, because holy shit. And also why this would be tough on a blind playthrough, because I'm kind of assuming that I'm getting myself into a Wages of Sin scenario where I could go kill these guys, but I very well may not have done the condition they need me to do. So, like, do I need to peer beyond? Do I need to find a cheap memento? Do I need to embarrass the consulate? And who wants me to do those things? This is going to be really tricky.
Yes.
Okay, so just in the interest of, like, not going into this with 0 knowledge, I'm just going to go ahead and spend the 2 actions, or the action and the 2 clues. And remember that we peered beyond, and we'll look at the revealed side of a concealed mini-card or the other side of a Geist enemy in play. I feel like dealing with one of the Geists is my priority, right? God, I have no idea. I don't want to go into that completely blind. I'm just going to reveal one of the Geists. I'd rather, like, get some of the Geists rather than have her kill them off, because that's what it sounded like the agenda was going to do. Let's go ahead and reveal Buried Miner. Warm, heavy rain begins to fall. Okay, if an investigator has found a cheap memento, you read the following, otherwise flip it back, heal all damage, disengage all the investigators, and exhaust it. Okay, cool. So, in order to banish the Buried Miner, I'm going to have to go here and spend 2 clues to find the cheap memento. That's good to know. Okay, Tommy is going to start scouting some information out for me. I'm going to risk leaving Daisy behind 1 location by heading to the east wing of the Kuala Lumpur station. This busy railway stop brings in travelers from all over the world, near and far. The recently completed platform now connects Kuala Lumpur to Singapore and Siam. It is a 2-shroud location. During your turn, pay 2 resources, move to a connecting location. And you can discard an asset you can control from play, gain resources equal to half the discarded asset's printed cost, round it down, and remember that you traded for a kitten. So I need to find a cheap memento, embarrass the consulate, and trade for a kitten. In addition to maybe needing to do something at these 2 locations, I don't know yet. and I've already peered beyond. But I know that I need to find the cheap memento for the buried miner. So we're going to focus on that first. Are any of these guys aloof? It's a shame that none of these guys are aloof, but I can understand why they're not aloof. Because I really need to find where she is so that the agenda also doesn't go too fast. And now I gotta say it's a little unfortunate where I'm sitting because I don't actually have a lot to do with Tommy. I kind of feel like I need to stand around drawing cards and gaining resources so that I can eventually trade something in. I don't want to kill any of the Geists until I can kind of solve them, right? Maybe the kitten is the miner, though. Okay, I think what I'm going to do for now on Tommy is take some resources so that I can, like, play the beat cop. And maybe I can afford to get rid of this runic axe, as much as I would hate to do that. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to trade for the kitten. Because if that's what he needs, and I'm going to need to, like, kill him anyways to get past him, then I may as well do that, right? Okay, so we've got an upkeep for Tommy, a perception. That's fine. That's good to commit to Daisy while we're here. And then an upkeep for Daisy gets us an encyclopedia. That's also pretty good. Stats are helpful. This said 2 a moment ago, but we're actually at 1 out of 3 doom. Wow. That does not give you much time before she eats one of those Geists. Yikes. We can make it work. An encounter card for Tommy is the Excruciate. Okay. 1 charge in the Shade Reaper. Still testing 3, and if I fail, I'm either taking 2 damage or discarding a ton of cards from hand. I'm just going to whiff this test and take 2 damage. Yeah. Huge whiff. 2 damage. I'm just going to put that on Flint. I know that... Yeah, I'm putting that on Flint for sure. I know that it could rookie mistake out and be a problem, but I'd rather have the damage on him and get the payback for it if I can, than never get it. And now I got to be a little careful because those skulls are at -3, and we got another Coterie envoy, and he is aloof, and he's going to be patrolling to the nearest location with a concealed mini card, and no Coterie envoy. So this could have been a lot worse. He's just spawning back here, and he's going to be moving around eventually. The concealed mini cards can't be revealed, though, and that's going to be a problem. So what do we want to do? I really want to trade for a kitten, and then I want to come in and do this. Try this guy out. I feel like I've gotta. Okay. And I feel like Daisy actually has a reasonable shot at pulling this off, this parlay test. So maybe Tommy doesn't have to kill him. Maybe I just try that parlay, discard an asset from Daisy's play area, and see if I can, like, get away with it. If this is the kitten one, I'm going to be really mad that you get pulled from this side of the map to this side and then have to walk through a guy you can't pass this into. But we'll see, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead with Tommy first. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to play the beat cop. I'm going to immediately trade the beat cop in for 2 resources and find a lost kitten. And then I'm going to shove over to that location. I'm going to feel extremely silly if this is not the lost kitten one. But he's engaged with Tommy now. And now it's Daisy's turn. So Daisy is going to move down 1 for her first action. I think she's actually going to spend 2 resources to save an action, because I feel like I need the actions right now. And get that move off of the location to shove over. And so how am I going to pull this off? What can she afford? She can afford to get rid of this Grim Memoir to try the Slain Foreman. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Grim Memoir to investigate the location. That'll put me at 8 against 4. A -4, that's fine. I'll just get the clue off the location and trigger Milan for a resource. So it's nice that we'll have gotten that victory in case we don't need to resign. And then I'm going to try this parlay test with Daisy. She's going to discard the Grimoire that she controls, testing a difficulty of 3 total because we've reduced the difficulty by 3. So we're going to be 6 against 3. We're going to commit this perception from Tommy to be 8 against 3. That is a -4 as well. And if you fail by 2 or more, place a charge on the Shade Reaper, which does not happen. And so we get to flip this and resolve the text on its other side. The Familial Pain. As Melania entreats the spirit, it turns its head as if it hears something you can't. The Bomo pulls you aside, a gentle smile on her face. It's searching for something, she explains. Something that reminds it of home. If an investigator has traded for a kitten, read the following. Otherwise, flip this card back to its enemy side, heal all damage from it, disengage it from all investigators, and exhaust it. Okay, so we were right. Thank God. If that hadn't been, to be honest, if this guy hadn't been the kitten, I kind of would have been frustrated because, like, it dragged me over from the other side before I could really do stuff, and I had so little time to do stuff, right? So, okay. Yeah, alright. Melody gestures for you to hold the kitten out to the spirit. This one had 2 daughters and many cats, the Bomo says. They simply want to know their loved ones are cared for. The spirit reaches out and strokes the kitten's fur with a glimmering spectral hand. After speaking rapidly in Malay, Melody looks at you. Bringing this animal to the family of the departed would comfort them. I have told the spirit I will bring it as a gift soon. When you look, the spirit has vanished. Add this card to the victory display. So we need one more clue to be able to remember that we found the cheap memento. This is going to be tricky. I got 1 action left with Daisy, and we're going to be at 2 out of 3 doom already. So, like, do I have to reveal this and see if it's her? But then I don't have enough clues to do the effect. Ugh. I wonder if I should just consider going down and getting this victory point as, like, a guaranteed thing, too. Like, I might want to embarrass the consulate, and I don't know which of these I need to do. And if I'm getting clues, if I need to get clues to get the cheap memento anyways, I may as well head down here, right? I guess another thing is that, like, I need to get 2 clues to find the cheap memento. I don't need to have any clues at all to embarrass the consulate, and presumably this one wants me to embarrass the consulate. So, yeah, Daisy will just move down 1 location for her last action. That's fine. Okay, so the Coterie Envoy does patrol to the nearest location with a concealed minicard and no Coterie Envoy. So he's going to patrol there. And he's either going to head here or here next turn. Tommy gets an upkeep for Stand Together. And Daisy gets an upkeep of her Necronomicon. Lovely. Beautiful. I suppose I just won't be clearing that, right? Like, when am I ever going to have time? 2 out of 3 doom. And so when this advances, she will harvest a nearby spirit if her location is unknown. If her location is unknown. I wonder what that means. Like, if she's concealed, probably. Encounter card for Tommy gets him the Spirit Harvest. Either each investigator takes 1 damage and 1 horror, or she shifts the Shade Reaper and then places 1 charge on it. I think that I am going to take a damage and horror for both investigators. We have taken none so far. And Daisy gets Compulsion. When your turn begins, reveal a random Chaos token from the bag. If it is a symbol token, the first action you perform during this turn must be the below ability, if able, double action to discard Compulsion. Really bad timing for that, but also might not be that bad, right? At the same time. Might not be that bad. So I only have my actions with Daisy and my actions with Tommy to either get her into play or just accept that one of these 2 is going to be gone. And I would like to go for trying to get her in play, but I kind of feel like as a first playthrough of the scenario, I kind of have to just accept that one of them is going to eat it. Because realistically, what can I do? I could do an attack here and see if that's her. And then I can move and then use a hunt to see if I get one of them. That's really all I can do with Tommy to try and find her. And that puts me in a situation where I'm engaged with her and someone else going into the enemy phase. And Daisy's on the other side of the map. And then this guy's just like, I don't know, fucking around, whatever. He's not doing anything, actually, because there'd be none of these guys would be in play. And that doesn't even kill her. That just finds her. And I don't know what happens with the agenda when I just find her. But I feel like regardless of what I do, I really should go with Daisy first to try and see how many actions I even have this round. So, we'll go with Daisy first. When my turn begins, I have to clear this. That was easy, right? Like, whatever. Now it's a question of, do I get clues? Or do I do a play action with one of these and then use my old book, for instance? I think the answer is that I'm going to go for the clues. I'm going to commit a deduction to an investigate here. 7 against 3. -4, so I get my resource. This is what is a -4, and if I failed by enough, something bad happens. And I get 2 of the clues, but that's Daisy's entire turn. Well, I mean, I guess I suppose I could clear a horror off the Necronomicon. That's an interesting thought. I might actually just do that once, just in case I want to clear it. I'm probably not going to want to clear it, but in case I want to clear it. So then now we're looking at Tommy's turn. And like I said, I can try and reveal this one and then move and try and reveal one of them with a hunt. that can be his entire turn. This is the combat one where you can take a bunch of horror and do this. And I feel like that one is easier for me to deal with suddenly. And maybe if Daisy's all the way over here, she can like walk up, do that, and then on his turn he can do that. So I think what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and reveal this one, and if I fail, I'm just going to go and reveal this one anyways. And fucking see what happens, I guess. This is tight. So we're attempting to reveal that. I can use 1 charge to get up to 7 against 4. I could use my Eye of the Ravens. What is it? Oh yeah, it draws an encounter card. I don't really want to be... I don't know what the other Shroud values are, so I think I'm going to have to go with the 7 against 4. Maybe I just commit the machete. No, I've got to live and learn. That's fine. A 0. Sick. Okay, cool. So we reveal that. What do we got? Yeah, okay. It's decoy. Bummer. All right. And then second action, we move to the Kuala Lumpur station. And this guy's aloof, so he doesn't engage us. And then last action, we will again use our Runic Axe. We get to do the Inscription of the Hunt, which immediately moves to a connecting location before the attack fires off. And then we get to do a +2 to the attack. So like I said, I'm going to head into the tin mine. Large pits yawn like open mouths in the earth. Some are filled with rainwater, some flicker like shuddering eyes in the low light. The supports that hold up the rickety scaffolding that spans the pits are temporary at best. This guy's going to engage Tommy, and it's a 3 shroud location with 4 clues. Test 6. Investigators at the tin mine may spend 1 per investigator clues as a group to automatically succeed. If you succeed, draw 2 cards and remember that you found hidden bones. Group limit once per game. After you fail a skill test while at tin mine, take a damage. Oof. But we are trying that expose 7 against 3. A 0. Okay, so we succeed by a huge margin. And who do we see? Hey! Sweet! Okay, so she engages me. It's kind of pissy. No, she doesn't engage me, right? What happens? I expose her, she spawns at my location, she engages me, and then when she would engage me, I have to spend 1 clue per investigator as a group, but I can't. So I draw the top card of the encounter deck instead, and then she just engages me again, right? What the fuck happens here? I have no idea what this is supposed to be doing. Because it says instead, if you cannot, draw the top card of the encounter deck instead. But it's not replacing... This replacement effect isn't replacing the exposure, it's replacing the engagement. So should this have a limit once per round? I don't know. I'm gonna engage her and draw an encounter card and assume that that's correct, and if it isn't, then this should say something different. Alright, what do we got? We've got a Seeing Shadows. After you fail a test while at a location with a concealed mini-card, take a horror. Okay, not too bad. Okay, so that's the end of Tommy's turn. We're both done. Each of them are going to hit me for 1 and 1. I will take a 1 and 1, and then I will take a 1 and 1, and I will take 5 resources and shuffle him back into my deck. Thank you, Inspector Flint. The Shade Reaper is pretty juiced up right now. But that's okay, I've still got my Eye of Ravens. Also, because I found her, all these went out of play, and then there are no locations with a concealed mini card. So I think he just doesn't move. I get an upkeep with Tommy, which is another Live and Learn. Nice. And then an upkeep with Daisy, which is another Grim Memoir, which is also very nice. And now I guess I've got the moment of truth to see what happens because I know where she is. If Su San Yang is in play at any location, she attacks each investigator at a location, and then you return to the shadows and resolve her concealed keyword, distributing each of those concealed mini-cards as evenly as possible among each location with a non-weakness Geist enemy. So I need to resolve that and put 3 of them into play. Ooh, okay, so there is going to be an extra decoy now. Okay, so having Flint gone is not the greatest. But then what happens? Does this just flip back over? Yeah, okay. Interesting. So Tommy takes 1 and 1. She's back in the shadows. And I have to distribute these evenly between these locations. I'm going to put 2 here so that I can find her again if I want to, I guess, right? Like, does that make sense? Actually, no. I'm going to put 2 here because I'm actually going to be dealing with this guy, like, really soon. Right, so we've got an encounter card for Tommy. It is a Rotting Remains. That is a little scary, but I certainly am committing to stand together. I do not need it. But that's a lot of horror potentially coming in. So let's commit a live and learn as well and be 2 up. 0. Okay. That's not the right thing, but I'm happy that I committed to that because that would have been disastrous. In fact, that could have just killed me, right? Yeah, if I had gotten a big negative on that, that would have just killed me. And an encounter card for Daisy gets her a Distorted Reasoning. Put it into play in your threat area. You cannot perform the same type of action twice in a row. This includes activate, engage, etc. At the end of your turn, test 3. If you succeed, discard Distorted Reasoning. Okay, that's fine as well. We're going to go with Daisy first. We're going to use this empirical hypothesis to draw a card, because I would like to see more of... I think I've used both of my deductions, haven't I? Yeah, that's a shame. This deck has enough card draw that I kind of wish I had working of hunches in it, just to get clues a little tiny bit faster. What I'd really like to do this turn, though, is go get that thing at the location above me. But I also wanted to get the clues from here, which is a shame. I don't think I can do all of that. That's too much for one turn. So I'm going to go ahead and investigate this location with a Burning the Midnight Oil, gaining 2 resources. I'm going to be at 6 against 3. I think I'm going to commit this encyclopedia to be 7 against 3, -1. That's an evidence on my empirical hypothesis and a clue from the location. And then we're just going to... I'd like to fail this now, but I'm just going to move up and spend my 2 clues and heal 2 horror to find the cheap memento. And so that was an investigate play... and then a move, and then an activate. So we're good on the Distorted Reasoning, and then we'll just try out the guts into that at the end of our turn. I suppose I'll move another horror onto myself, like, before that happens, and then I'll try that out. 2 up. That is currently a -3, so that's actually a failure. Bummer. Okay, so I might need to kill this guy outright instead of doing this parlay, because I currently don't actually have any of that soak. So let's do an attack with +1 damage, and I guess the bonus to hit, right? Do I just have to do 3 attacks? I think I just have to do 3 attacks this turn to defeat him. So those can't fail, or else I get a Seeing Shadows, but I do have a Live and Learn to pull it off. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. I don't think I put a Vicious Blow because I can't get a 3rd damage through any other means. And we just try that. So we're at 4, 5, 6, 7 against 2. 7 against 2 for 2 damage. That's 2 damage. Again, 7 against 2 for 2 damage. That is 2 damage. And then finally, I could be 5 against 2 instead and pick up a Glory. And I think I will do that, and I'm going to do 5 against 2 with the Glory. I'm not going to commit the Machete, because I might need to play a Machete instead to deal with not having any charges on my Runic Axe. But I do have the Live and Learn, so we'll gamble on that. Hey, look! We don't get to move anything around, but we do get to kill him. So he's got the 6 damage on him now, and we flip him over. If an investigator has found a cheap memento. Okay, sweet. Warm, heavy rain begins to fall as you traverse the treacherous walkways. The moans of the departed echo in the dim. Melody holds one hand to her forehead and puts the other to the chiseled rock. If an investigator has found a cheap memento, read the following. These are the spirits of fallen miners, says Melody, holding on to the flimsy tin figurine you found. This belonged to one of them. It is sculpted from tin from this very mine. Susan Yang's heartless business separated the workers from their families, and now they will never be reunited, except in death. She holds the tin figurine over the surface of the water and lets go of it. You think you can see the outline of wispy spectral hands grasping at it as it sinks to the bottom of the pit. Add this card to the victory display. Alright, all things considered, I feel like this is going pretty well. I think that I lucked out big time on what these say. Because the guys that I deleted very well could have not needed the kitten and the cheap memento, I am now realizing. And that would have pissed me off if I needed one of these other things in order to get that guy finished up. But I guess if I'd have seen something different here, I wouldn't have necessarily needed to go to that guy. Now, we're done our turns. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Coterie Envoy move to me. Because I'm pretty sure that if this is her, and there's no Geist here, that's good for me. But if she's one of them, I'm going to want to go deal with her. So this guy will patrol here, instead of here, so that I can reveal her if she's there. If I don't have time to solve this. Upkeep for Tommy gets me an Overpower. That's going to be handy in case I draw an enemy. because an overpower and a vicious blow is going to get a lot of stuff going on here. Oh, and I forgot to resolve my glory, didn't I? I wanted to draw another card. So I guess that would have just flubbed right there and then reshuffled into my deck, so whatever. And then an upkeep for Daisy gets her a Ward of Protection. That's pretty good. And now we're at 1 out of 3 again, and we get an encounter card for Tommy. It is the Figures in the Dark. If there are no enemies in the shadows, either each enemy in the shadows attacks you or each investigator loses an action. So I can take 1 and 1, which is kind of scary. That puts me at like half, and I still don't have a fucking ally in hand. But both of us losing an action is a lot. That is a tough one. I think I'm going to have him take the damage. As much as I don't want to right now. And then an encounter card for Daisy gets her a Frozen in Fear. Oi, oi, oi. Those are annoying together. That is a dog shit bastard. Oh, fuck this. Oh my god. Okay, so on Daisy's turn, I'm going to have her move. Double action, Frozen in Fear move. God, I hate that so bad. She's going to be moving down to the Selangor Club Padang, and this is a test 4 to join the games, and if you fail, you'll embarrass the consulate. But rather than doing that, I think I'm actually going to do a play action with this Grim Memoir, and then use this as an activate action to investigate the last clue off this location. So 8 against 3 seems pretty good to me. That's a -3 right now, so that'll be 5 against 3. It is a succeed by 2. It's not a succeed by 3. And then I get a resource from Dr. Milan. I don't clear the Grim Memoir, but I do get that last clue, which is an XP. And then I have to test this twice. I probably should have canceled this, but I totally forgot to, so I'll just do 2 willpower tests. That one stays. Another willpower test. Ooh, that one's gone. Okay. That's not too bad. Getting rid of one of them is good. Now, Tommy just, wants to get out of here so that he's not failing tests here. So 1 move to there. And then he just wants to, draw some cards to find some allies, because this is getting painful. And we'll just draw another card for another ally, hopefully. Perception. Okay, fine. That's upkeep for Tommy. A glory. Now that I've got 2 charges on Runic Axe, it's a bit less scary, but, I'm pretty close to dying. And then for Daisy, we get another Research Librarian. 2 out of 3 Doom. Maybe I just steel myself to kill her. I'm kind of thinking that that's kind of where I'm going, is just not dealing with this last guy. Because I don't even know if the Embarrassing the Consulate's the one I need. I might need the one that was at the mine, and I might need the one that's at the theater. Either way. Doom on the asset you control with the highest printed resource cost. Okay, well, fortunately, that's not going to matter. And then an encounter card for Daisy gets us the Figures in the Dark. Each enemy in the shadows attacks you? Yeah, that's not a huge cost. I could cancel it and take 1 less damage, but I feel like I want to save that for something a bit worse, so I might just take 1 and 1 and leave that as is.
5 hours later.
This is several hours later because my kids came home right after I finished that Mythos phase. So I need to get reoriented and really think about how I'm going to finish this scenario. At the end of this round, wherever Susan Yang is, they are going to attempt to harvest Spirit. So if they're at the location with the Geist that's remaining, they're going to do that. And if not, I think they miss. Also, now that I'm sitting here reading this again, I missed this thing that said Geist enemies cannot leave haunted locations. And it didn't really occur to me that even if I didn't, finish someone off, I could just walk away from them. I don't know if it's going to be relevant, but it's a thing. Also, I should also note that the objective right now is, at the end of the round, if there are no non-weakness Geist enemies in play, advance. So Daisy's over here, ready to get this last clue off the Selangor Club. Did I already get that? I don't think so, but now I'm a little nervous. Regardless, gonna get that, and then we're going to intentionally embarrass the consulate. But then we'll be stuck on this side of the map. And that will leave Tommy kind of scrambling for some allies so that he doesn't die really stupidly into this uncanny shadow and Susan Yang, in case she does spawn here on him. And finish off this kind of act and agenda. I really don't know what's going to happen with that. I think that this victory point is already lost. We're not going to be getting over there. We only have the 2 deductions for clue acceleration, so that's not happening. And if this got a victory point, and it has more than 1 per investigator clues, that's also probably a lost victory point. But I'll take 4. assuming that I don't die on one of these two locations. That's kind of nice. And we did get that Doom on the Runic Axe, but that fortunately doesn't matter. We've got decent cards in hand for Tommy. I think all in all, we're just going to end up going with Daisy first here. So we're going to go ahead and investigate with the Grim Memoir. We're going to be up 8 against 5 and see what happens. A -2. So that's sorry, not against 5. 8 against 5? 8 against 3. So that's a 6 against 3, which means I do get a token on my empirical hypothesis. It means I do get a card draw, and it does mean I also get a resource from Dr. Milan, and I get that final clue with the location. And now I think I just try out the game of cricket, which is a parlay of difficulty 4 combat, which I'm just going to biff. Hey, look, I biffed it. In fact, I biffed it so hard I auto-failed it. So we'll take that. And we've successfully embarrassed the consulate. Last actions could be a frozen in fear thing. I do need to go catch up with Tommy, I think. I think if I don't catch up with Tommy, he might be hosed. And that's what I'm worried about. So I'm gonna take the opportunity to go catch up with him. So we'll head up here to Kuala Lumpur Station, West Wing. Unfortunately, it doesn't have this resources to movement thing, because that would be really handy with how much money both my guys have. And then finally, when we land there, I am going to toss Daisy's tote bag into a frozen in fear test at the end of the turn, so it's going to be 5 against 3 again. I don't really want to put anything else into that. Yeah, there we go. So that's dealt with. This shouldn't be here. Why is that there? Let's just discard that quietly and pretend you didn't see it. And haven't been seeing it every time I've been down here. So Tommy and Daisy are right next to one another now. I could just take this turn to refine, but I might draw a card first. I'm also kind of nervous about this. So what I'm thinking is I draw a card. If it's an ally, I play it. If it's not an ally, I refine. Maybe. Okay, hard to argue with that. Let's get Flint into play. He does not take an ally slot, which is really nice. Last action, I'm seriously considering walking in and trying this Uncanny Shadow. And I gotta say, I really wish I had more willpower icons. I'd like to get the refine off. I could use the Eye of Ravens to make that a 6 against 3 by discarding a bunch of cards. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think I need the machete. I don't think I need the perception. And I think I can get away with not having the glory. Because the second that Daisy catches up with Tommy, he can just draw a bunch of cards off of the empirical hypothesis. So let's go ahead and spend 2 resources, and we're going to shove ourselves down using the Kuala Lumpur station to shove ourselves down to the Wayang Kulit Theatre. So, the elaborate shadow puppet shows that take place on stage make this theatre a popular attraction. The distinctive puppets are made to cast stylized silhouettes on a backlit screen. The effects give the impression that the screen is a veil between reality and some shadowy other world. So we'll pop in there, this guy will engage Tommy, and we'll flip this over. Half the charge is on the Shade Reaper rounded up Shroud. So we're currently at 5. I'm worried that I should be at 6, but I think 5 is correct. And then, okay, 2 clues in Victory 1. Investigators at the Wailang Kulit Theatre spend 2 clues as a group to heal 2 damage. Remember that you shared a deep pain. Okay, so it might be that one. It might be that one. But once Daisy gets over there, she can do that. So if it's not that one, and I do this test and pass it, I think that's fine. I think it's fine. I think that I can pull this off. Okay, I'm going to try this. Oh, right, but if she pops out here... Yeah, no, I want to try it now. I want to try defeating her now, because if she pops out into one of these 2... Why did I think that putting 2 down here was a good idea? This should probably have been 1. Unless I put them like this before she spawned or something. No, this was after she went away. Yeah, I think that was just a bad play on my part. But either way, we're going to try and pull off the test on the Uncanny Shadow by discarding 3 cards and doing a big willpower test. So we're going to, during a skill test, we set our base value to 6 and flip this to its unstable side. So we're going to discard 3 cards from my hand at random. Oh, it's random. Okay, that kind of sucks. Machete, fine. Perception, fine. Overpower. Yeah, okay, I'll accept it. And then we'll boost that stat up to 6. So we're going to be 6 against 3, and we have to live and learn in hand if we have to do it again. Now, we don't get the 6, what is this, right? For this test to 6. So we don't get that, but since this was part of the action's cost, I'm pretty sure that the difficulty reduction is true for if I have to live and learn it. So I'll be 6 against 3, And I'm wondering whether I just commit one of these to get up to the -4s. There's a lot of -4s. I think that I'm doing really good on experience this campaign. I'm going to commit the Refine to make sure that this fires. There's the -4. Now, I could have added a token to the Shade Reaper to treat it as a 0, but I think I'm glad I did that. So, we reduce the difficulty. If we succeed, we flip the card and resolve the text on the other side. The theater fills with the sound of chittering laughter as wavering shapes dance against a papery backdrop. Melody chuckles as she looks at you. No need to worry, she says. The spirit is restless, but it does not bear us ill will. Looking up the papery shadows, she intones a low chant in Malay. If an investigator has embarrassed the consulate... Oh, yes! Read the following, otherwise flip it over. Okay, sweet. The sound of laughter turns to weeping, then turns back to laughter. It is the spirit of a boy, Melody tells you. A round ball rolls out from the darkness to your feet as you look up at the trembling forms. The padang where he once played is now the ground of one Miss Zoo's endeavors. Your small gesture amused him. I think he will be at peace now. Add this card to the victory display. Wow, that feels really good that I got all of these, but I gotta say, the only thing I'm worried about is that I'm going to be spawning her at the end of this round, I assume, and I don't know if I'm ready to deal with her yet. Okay, so then we upkeep. It's an upkeep for Tommy, gets him the Martyr's Vambrace a bit too late, and an upkeep for Daisy gets her a Bizarre Diagnosis, which could be helpful, but probably isn't. So, at the end of the round, there are no non-weakness Geist enemies in play, so we advance. If there are no enemies face down beneath Sun Sun Yang, a petite figure emerges from the yellow haze. Su San Yang, I keep saying it wrong, I'm so sorry, points at you accusingly. How dare you? You have no right to interfere with my work. She seethes. The parasol in her hand glows with strange energy. Reveal all concealed minicards and remove them from the game. Flip Su San Yang to her out for blood side, and spawn her at the location where her minicard was. Advance directly to Agenda 3A. Do not resolve Agenda 2B. So she flips. She's a 2/4/2 with +2 health. Hunter Retaliate. When you succeed at a skill test while attempting to fight or evade her, remove a charge from the Shade Reaper for each point you succeeded by. Take damage and or horror equal to the number of charges removed, divided as equally as possible. Wow, that is fucking evil. Thank God I've got Inspector Lee to fucking eat shit for me. So she's gonna spawn somewhere, but we're gonna just move this first, so I don't forget about it. So the Harvester of Woe. The lady with the red parasol has shifted her attention to you. She sings a haunting song as she stalks you through the streets. Under any other circumstance, you might find the melody beautiful. When you are dealt damage and or horror from Su Sen Yang's forced effect, investigators at your location may spend any number of clues to cancel that much damage or horror. Wow, that's really good. And if she is defeated, advance. And then Fear the Reaper. Su Sen Yang smiles sweetly as she bears down on you. Behind her, a massive shadow moves of its own accord, writhing in fulminant patterns on the wall. This will be quick, she coos. Each Geist enemy gains Hunter and Retaliate and cannot be flipped over. When doom is placed on this agenda, remove one Geist enemy from beneath Su San Yang and spawn it face up at her location. Jesus Christ. Wow, we do not get much time to fight her. Advance the agenda directly to 3A. So I think that I do this. I'm pretty sure that I remove the one in play as well. I don't know if that stays on my Runic Axe or not, but I'm just going to play it as if it does because I honestly don't remember. Alright, now the moment of truth. Let's see where the damage is. Oh my god, no way. Alright, she's up here with this ding-dong. The Shade Reaper's on her. It's got 5 tokens on it. These all get shoved into nowhere. And now we need to go kill her before the next, 2 or 3 turns are up, I guess? Does this guy just do nothing at this point? That's interesting. He's not a Geist or anything. So yeah, he just stands there doing nothing. I would love Daisy to come grab these, but I might need Daisy to hang out with Tommy so that he doesn't die when hitting her. But 6 health is really easy to clear. 6 health is super, super reasonable for us. So this should be doable if this next encounter phase is not too bad. So 1 out of 4 Doom. And Tommy gets Spirit Harvest. Each investigator takes a damage in a horror, or she shifts the Shade Reaper and then places 2 charges on it. Well, I think 1 damage and 1 horror is what we have to do for this one. So let's go ahead and put that on Inspector Lee. And it's each investigator. I think over here on Daisy, we're going to just straight up kill Dr. Milan with that. Because I don't want this to get much higher. Well, we did get that Bizarre Diagnosis. I'm not sure. No, you know what? We'll take 1 to the face and then put a horror on him, and that way if it pops up again, we can then kill him off. Another Frozen in Fear. Yeah, we're gonna cancel that. That's just way too annoying, man. Way too annoying. We're not taking that. Okay, so Daisy is going to move and then immediately spend 2 resources to move down here. And then she is going to do what? She is going to investigate once with the Grim Memoir. Investigating for value of 8, I guess, against 5? No, it's 8 against 3, because there's 5 charges, but it's half rounded up. So 8 against 3. That's a -4, so I don't draw, but I do get the clue. And then we're going to run that again for another 8 against 3. That's a 0. We do get both an evidence there and a card draw. And the clue. So that's cleared. That's really nice. And what I'm actually going to do next is I'm going to spend 2 clues off Daisy and heal 2 damage doing the action on the location. Because I don't want to drop a clue and have to pick it back up with the Bizarre Diagnosis. But I can do that and I won't die to a, an unexpected treachery that just kills me instantly. So that's kind of nice. So for Tommy, we're really just standing around getting ready for a fight. So I'm going to draw 1 card. It's an overpower. That's pretty good. I'm going to draw another card for a Vicious Blow. That's really good too. And then last action, I'm going to go ahead and play the Martyr's Vambrace for 2 resources. And then I'm actually just going to take a couple draws with the Empirical Hypothesis. So 1 more draw gets him... Oh, the rookie mistake. Dang. Okay, well, Inspector Lee's dead, but that's fine. At least that's dealt with. Let's spend another evidence. Okay, fine, and then we'll spend the last evidence. The Hypochondria. Okay, that's kind of poopy. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so she is going to hunt to this location, the Kuala Lumpur station. And we're going to be going to deal with her next turn, I think. Between Daisy's Occult Invocation she just drew and Tommy just having a bunch of attacks, we should be able to finish her off. So we'll go ahead with Tommy. He gets Becky, which is fine, whatever. And then with Daisy, and she gets her second Occult Invocation, which is going to be... Well, I mean, I don't really need the backup. Oh, I forgot to spend those. I don't really need the backup, but it's good, right? Obviously, it's good. We got 2 out of 4 Doom. And hopefully, the last encounter phase, let's see what Tommy gets. Oh, Compulsion. Fuck, that's really annoying. So he'll still be able to hunt in with Runic Axe and do a big Vicious Blow attack, but he won't get as many attempts as I'd like. Alright, that's fine. Well, I mean, he might not. This is not a big deal if it's the last round, right? Let's see what Daisy gets. Attached to an enemy in the shadows without a copy of this. If you cannot, it gains Surge. It surges. And a Seeing Shadows. Okay. Super easy last Mythos phase there. In fact, I'm pretty sure that Daisy could just go kill him. But what I'd really like for Daisy to do is attach this Raven's Quill to the Old Book of Lore. And so I'm going to have her go first. I'm going to have her play this Old Book of Lore over her Grim Memoir. I'm going to have her, 1, 2, 3, play her Raven's Quill onto the Old Book of Lore. And I'm going to have her use the Old Book of Lore on Tommy. And Tommy is going to look at the top 3 cards of his deck. Oh, yeah! Man, you love to see that. We're going to spend a secret. Are we going to play the Hunter's Armor? Or are we going to play Gret? I think we just play Gret. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, I believe, for Gret. Because it's a -2 cost. The rest of these get shuffled back into the deck. Take that happily. And that uses the secret up on the old book. I don't really think there's much else for her to do. She could walk in, but let's just, take a horror and clear the Necronomicon as a meme, right? Fuck the Necronomicon. All my homies hate the Necronomicon. Now, it does mean that if we draw a token, a symbol token, then we're kind of, a little screwed, but not, super screwed, because... we can still walk in. 1 direct horror between the Vambrace and Gret Wagner. We're not, dying stupidly this turn if we don't kill her, but we are, spending an extra turn kind of bumming around when we wouldn't otherwise have to. So let's see what we get. A -4. So we don't have to clear that right now, and that's really nice. So we'll spend one charge. We will use an Inscription of the Hunt, and then an Inscription of Power. So we're going to be swinging for 6 and moving first. That's going to shove us up here, engage her with us. And you might not be ready for this, but I'm going to immediately spend 2 resources once we've moved up and began the skill test in the free triggered ability window before the commits. And we're just going to move right back to Daisy. And so we're attacking 6 against 2. I will put 1 Vicious Blow into this, just to make it a 3 damage attack, to see if I can pull that off. A -2. So that definitely fires. We get the 3 damage off on her. When I succeed at a skill test by attempting to fight or evade her, we remove 1 charge from it for each point we succeeded by. So I was at 4, 5, 6, 7, -2 is 5 against 3. I have to take 3 off of this and take 3 damage or horror split evenly. But instead, I'm just going to spend the 3 clues from Daisy to cancel 3 of it. And then not last, but next action, I'm going to do the exact same attack with a Vicious Blow, and instead of an Inscription of the Hunt, an Inscription of Glory, just to fucking, style on her, I guess. A +1 that time. So there's another 2. I'm going to take an even that, and then that's going to deal 1 direct horror to me because of the Hypochondria. But that is going to hit her for 3 more damage. She's going to head to the Victory Display. And by Victory Display, I of course mean Hex Zone, and we're going to advance. As Su Sun Yang fires another eldritch beam of crackling light at you, you charge forward, ignoring the pain, and wrest the parasol from her grip. She fights back with all the fury of a cornered animal. Countless souls, all bound in torment to the key, cry out at once. The woman lets out an ear-piercing scream as the red parasol is wrenched away from her. You step back, brandishing her own weapon. A hollow victory, she says haughtily. I know you don't have the nerve to use my shade against me. She turns to walk away. She has no fucking idea how much nerve I have to use her shade against her, R1. A crack of energy ripples through the air between you. Power, terrible, intoxicating power, courses through your arm. Su San Yang wails as she collapses to the ground, convulsing with pain. Go, you say in a voice not entirely your own. Go somewhere far away and never return. You look down at her as the terrible energy dissipates. Su San Yang's face is streaked with tears and her hands shake as she stands up. She gives you a fleeting, baleful look, then turns and walks away into the fog. Each investigator earns experience equal to the Victory X value of each card in the Victory Display. So that's going to be a total of 7 experience. And then we each earn 1 bonus experience as we mastered the Shade Reaper. Each investigator also suffers 1 physical trauma as the Shade Reaper draws essence from your soul. Yeah, okay, I guess I deserve that. In your campaign log, record Su San Yang is under your sway. Man, I don't get to kill her. Choose an investigator to be the bearer of the Shade Reaper and update the campaign log accordingly. Mark a time in your campaign log and you may embark. The time in my campaign log does put me at the beta time there. And this is the status report beta where we add another cultist token to the Chaos Bag, and we can now travel to Tunguska where the final scenario is. And looking at the Shade Reaper on its stable side, it chooses a non-elite enemy at your location. You can move that enemy to a connecting location. You can then force that enemy to attack another enemy at its location, dealing its horror as damage, then flip this key to its unstable side. And I feel like that's something that would be really nice for Daisy to have, but also I feel like it would be really nice for Tommy to have. And I think I'm just going to give it to Daisy because if she happens to be caught out in a scenario like I just dealt with, there weren't a whole lot of enemies coming out and dealing any pressure to us, but she was halfway, or the entire way across the map, really, from Tommy for quite a while. And if an enemy had popped out without those occult lexicons, or not the occult lexicons, the occult invocations, she would have been fucked. So this will be a nice kind of emergency exit button for her. And that'll be it for today. Wow, that went, really well. Obviously, I know a lot of people kind of gassed this scenario up as being really hard, and I can definitely see where it would be if I got, worse luck with where her concealed minicard was, or worse luck with which Geist wanted which objective. I deleted the other ones, so I didn't see what they were. I could go take a look afterwards, but anyways, it went very well. Super happy with 8 VP from a scenario I was expecting to absolutely crush me under its boot. And having a really good time with this campaign. Maybe that kind of goes without saying given how poorly the last one went, but man, great stuff. Daisy and Tommy are just absolute killers together. So thanks very much for watching. I super appreciate it. I know that the videos have been coming a lot slower, but super busy. Back to work. My foot's not broken anymore. My kids started school. So between all those things, it's been just a lot more difficult to record than I was hoping it would be for the play along, but I kind of anticipated this. Just a heads up, they'll be coming slowly, and I still have my kind of commentary videos that I'm working on in the background, but they take a long time to edit, and the scripts also take a long time to get where I'm happy with them. So between those two things, hopefully we'll see one, I don't know, maybe in the next month, but don't hold your breath. Again, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.